Callan walked slowly through the dusty market streets of the alien village. His boots kicked up dry sand with every step. He kept his head low, avoiding eye contact with the tall, fur-covered aliens around him. These beings, called the Dravari, had sharp ears, long tails, and eyes that glowed softly under the twin suns. They were powerful, wild, and proud, and Callan, he was just a human alone, strange, and mostly ignored. He came to this planet 2 years ago after his ship crash-landed. No rescue ever came. He had to survive by learning how to trade, how to stay quiet, and how not to offend the locals. The Dravari didn't trust humans. Callan understood why. His kind had a long history of taking more than they gave. But he wasn't like that. He just wanted to live. Today, Callan carried a small bag of old metal scraps and power cells. Nothing special, but enough to buy a few days of food. He spotted a trader sitting under a cloth tent. The Dravari male had thick fur and a strong build. Callan approached slowly. "I have tech," Callan said, holding the bag up. The trader looked him over, then grunted. "Human tech breaks. But it's still useful," Callan said, offering a friendly smile. They began to talk. Callan tried to keep his voice respectful. He knew how fast a deal could fall apart if he said something wrong. As he pointed to the metal pieces and explained their function, something strange happened. He felt it before he saw it, a heavy gaze burning into his back. He turned his head slightly and saw her. She was standing in the shadows of a nearby tree. A tall Dravari woman, strong and wild-looking. Her fur was darker than most, with streaks of silver on her arms and legs. Her golden eyes didn't blink. She was staring straight at him. Callan felt a chill. He'd seen her before, from a distance. Her name was Vera, a known huntress. She never spoke to him. Never even acknowledged him. Why was she watching now? He tried to ignore her and turned back to the trader. "This one still works," he said, holding up a small energy cell. "You could power," suddenly. Footsteps, heavy, quick. Before Callan could turn around fully, someone grabbed his arm. Claws didn't cut him, but they held him firmly. He looked up in shock and saw Vera, inches from his face. The market went silent. Every Dravari nearby stopped what they were doing. Even the wind seemed to pause. Vera leaned close, eyes locked on his. Then, without warning, she opened her mouth slightly and bit down on his shoulder, not hard enough to break skin, but enough to feel her teeth through his shirt. Callan froze. The bite lasted only a second. Then she stepped back and stared at him again, calm and serious. A loud gasp came from a nearby trader. Someone dropped a bowl. Whispers filled the air. Callan stood in total confusion, his mouth half open, not knowing what just happened. "What was that?" he asked, looking around. No one answered. The trader he was speaking to before stepped back, his face unreadable. "You've been marked," he muttered. "By her," Callan blinked. "Marked? For what?" Another Dravari, a female elder wrapped in leather robes, approached slowly. Her eyes were sharp, but not unkind. "She bit you in front of the tribe," the elder said. "That means something, human." "It's no small act. I don't understand," Callan stammered. "Why would she do that?" "Because you spoke with pride," the elder said. "And you looked her in the eye?" "But I didn't even speak to her," the elder nodded. "You didn't need to. She has been watching you for a while. You just didn't notice." Vera still hadn't said a word. She just stood there, watching him, her expression unreadable. Then, without a sound, she turned and walked away into the crowd. Callan stood in the middle of the market, still holding his bag of metal, completely lost. The elder placed a hand on his arm. "Come with me. You need to understand what this means." As they walked toward the center of the village, whispers followed them. Dravari of all ages stared at him, not with the usual disinterest, but with a mix of curiosity, surprise, and even anger. Callan asked the elder again. "Did she bite me out of anger?" "No," the elder replied. "If she wanted to hurt you, you'd be bleeding. That bite, it's something else." "Then what is it?" The elder looked at him with a strange smile. "Among the Dravari, a public bite is a sign, a declaration. It means she has chosen you. Chosen me for what?" The elder's smile faded. That is something only she can explain. But no, your life is no longer just your own. You're part of something now. Whether you wanted it or not, they reached a small stone building. The elder told him to rest there for the night. She would speak to the council in the morning. As Callan sat alone on a thin bed, he touched his shoulder where Vera had bitten him. There was no pain now, only warmth. Outside, the market noise returned. Life went on. But for Callan, everything had changed. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring, but somehow he knew it would never be boring again. Callan did not sleep much that night. His mind was full of questions. Why had Vera bitten him? What did it really mean to be chosen? And what would the Dravari tribe expect from him now? He sat on the edge of the small stone bed, rubbing his shoulder. There were no teeth marks, no blood. Just a strange heat under his skin, like the memory of a touch that wouldn't fade. Outside, the moons had passed overhead, and now the morning sun glowed orange through the cracks in the wooden door. A soft knock echoed in the quiet room. The elder from the market entered. She carried a bowl of warm root stew and a skin of water. Callan stood quickly, unsure of how to greet her now. "You are awake," she said calmly, handing him the bowl. "Barely," Callan replied, trying to smile. "I have more questions than answers. You will get both." "In time," she said. She sat on a carved stool and motioned for him to eat. He did, even though his stomach was tight with worry. "Vera chose you," the elder began. "Not as prey, not as property, but as something more sacred." Callan frowned. "What does that mean for me?" The elder leaned forward. "Among the Dravari, a public bite is not just a mark, it is a message. She has shown interest. If you accept, it may lead to a deeper bond. If you reject it, you risk insulting her and others." Callan blinked. "Wait, does everyone expect me to say yes?" "No, but they expect you to respond with strength or with sense. You cannot remain silent now. You are part of something." Callan set down the bowl. "I don't even know her. We've never talked." "She's followed me before, yes, but I thought it was just curiosity." The elder smiled softly. "To Vera, watching is a form of study. She learns by silence. And she's been watching you longer than you know." Later that day, Callan stepped into the village square, unsure of what to expect. A crowd had already gathered. Most eyes were on him. Some were cold, some were surprised. A few looked angry, and then she arrived. Vera walked calmly from the woods. At the edge of the village, her dark fur shined under the morning light. Her eyes were fixed on Callan as if no one else existed. She stopped a few feet in front of him and spoke her first words to him. "You did not run." Callan swallowed. "I didn't know I was supposed to." Vera tilted her head. "Most would have, after the bite." He forced a small smile. "Was that your plan, to scare me away?" "No," she said simply. "To test your spirit," the crowd murmured. Dravari males exchanged glances. One of them, a strong warrior named Gorak, stepped forward. "This is wrong," Gorak growled. "He is not of us." "He is not weak," Vera replied calmly. "He is human." Gorak barked, and he stood his ground. She snapped back. Tension crackled in the air. The elder raised her staff and tapped it on the stone. "Enough," she said. "If there is challenge in your heart, Gorak, speak it now." Gorak pointed at Callan. "If he wishes to be accepted by our kind, if he dares to stand beside a Dravari huntress, then let him be tested." Gasps rose from the crowd. Callan felt cold inside. The elder nodded slowly. "So be it. The trial shall take place at moonrise." "What kind of trial?" Callan asked, already fearing the answer. "Not a fight to the death," the elder said, "but a test of strength, endurance, and wisdom. You will face Gorak and earn your answer." Vera stepped forward. "He is not a warrior." The elder met her eyes. "Then let him prove he is something else." That night, under the pale blue moons, the village gathered in the arena, a circular space surrounded by stone pillars. Its center stood Callan, nervous but ready. Across from him, Gorak towered with muscle and fury. Callan had no weapons, only his wits a horn blew. Gorak rushed forward like a beast. Callan dodged, rolled, and used the terrain to his advantage. He was fast, smart. He couldn't match Gork's strength, but he used tricks. He kicked up sand into the warrior's face. He ducked behind pillars. He led Gorak into a corner and then escaped with a leap. The crowd began to cheer not for violence, but for cleverness. Callan picked up a loose rope and wrapped it around a fallen beam. As Gorak charged again, Callan sidestepped and tripped him. The large warrior crashed to the ground. Callan didn't move to hurt him. He simply backed away and stood tall. The elder raised her staff. "Enough!" Silence returned. Gorak stood slowly, breathing hard. He looked at Callan, then gave a single nod. "He has spirit," Gorak said. "More than I expected." The crowd murmured in agreement. Vera stepped into the ring. She looked at Callan with something new in her eyes. Not pride, not victory, but understanding. "You didn't need to win," she said. "You just needed to try." "I did more than try," Callan said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I survived." She smiled slightly. "Yes, you did." As the crowd dispersed, the elder approached them both. "Your place among us is no longer in question," she said to Callan, "but your bond with her, that is your decision." Callan looked at Vera. She did not pressure him. She waited. He took a deep breath. "I don't know what this all means yet," he said honestly, "but I'm willing to find out." Vera gave a simple nod. "Then we begin." For the first time since his ship crash-landed, Callan was no longer just the human outsider. After the trial with Gorak, the Dravari stopped whispering behind his back. They looked at him differently now, some with respect, others with curiosity. One thing was clear. He had become part of something he didn't yet understand, but Vera, she remained as quiet as ever. In the days that followed, she began to appear beside him more often. She didn't talk much. She didn't explain. She simply stayed close. When Callan walked to the food tent, she walked beside him. When he sat under the trees outside the village, she sat silently nearby. It was strange, but not uncomfortable. At first, Callan didn't know what to say. He had 100 questions, but didn't want to offend her. So he chose something simple. "You always watch everything?" Vera glanced at him. "It's how I learn," Callan smiled. "And what have you learned about me?" "You don't give up," she said. "Even when afraid," he nodded slowly. "That's fair." She turned her head toward the forest. "Come, I want to show you something." Callan followed her as they left the village and entered the tall woods beyond. The trees were wide, their trunks thick like towers. Strange animals made low calls in the branches above. Light filtered through the leaves in soft green beams. The air was cooler here, fresh and quiet. Vera walked ahead with confident steps. Callan followed, careful not to trip over roots or rocks. After a while, they reached a small cliff overlooking a valley. A soft river cut through it, and glowing plants lit the edges like tiny lanterns. "This is beautiful," Callan whispered. "This is where I come to think," Vera said, "alone." "Why bring me here, then?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she crouched and pulled something from her pack. A piece of bark, carved with shaped symbols Callan didn't understand. "My mother gave me this before she died," she said. "She told me to only show it to someone I trust." Callan blinked, surprised. "You trust me?" Vera nodded. "You didn't run. You faced the trial, you spoke with respect." He sat beside her, careful not to disturb anything. "Does this mean ... we're bonded now?" he asked. She looked at him. "Not yet. Bonding takes more than a bite, more than a fight." "Then what does it take?" Vera looked out at the trees. "It takes time. It takes truth." They sat in silence for a while. No words were needed. The wind spoke between the branches, and the river hummed below. Callan had never felt this kind of peace, not even on Earth. Later, as they walked back, Callan asked, "Do you regret biting me?" "No," Vera replied simply. "You were already marked." "I just made it clear." Callan tilted his head. "Marked? How?" "You carry something most don't," she said. "You listen. You care. The tribe may not see it yet, but I did." That night, a small celebration was held in the village. A trader's son had returned from a long hunt. There was music, dancing, and food. For the first time, Callan was invited. To sit near the center fire, not on the edge. Vera sat beside him. She still didn't speak much, but she didn't need to. Her presence was enough. Some Dravari looked surprised. Others nodded respectfully. Even Gorak gave him a short glance and then looked away, which Callan took as a sign of approval. A young Dravari girl approached them with painted hands. She offered Callan a strip of dyed cloth. "For your arm," she said shyly. "It means welcome." Callan tied it around his wrist with a thankful smile. As the fire crackled and drums echoed. Vera leaned toward him. "There will be another test," she said quietly. Callan tensed. "What kind of test?" "Not a fight, a hunt," she said. "Something dangerous has entered the forest. The elders want it removed." He nodded slowly. "And you want me there?" "I do." "Because you're not Dravari." "You see things differently?" Vera replied. "Sometimes that saves lives." The next morning, a small group was gathered, 3 hunters, Vera and Callan. They followed tracks into the deep forest. Something large had moved through trees, were scratched and claw marks ripped across the earth. This was no normal beast. The leader of the hunt, a warrior named Shen, spoke quickly in their language, but Vera translated. "It's called a skarnik," she said. "Fast, strong, blind, but here's everything." Callan asked, "So we can't hide from it?" "No, but we can trick it." As the hunters spread out, Callan noticed a pattern in the ground. Where the claws were deepest, there was also burnt grass. He remembered something from a field manual back on Earth. Skarniks used heat from their prey to track them. He shared this with the others. Vera listened carefully. "That could help," she said. "We'll make decoys. Trap it, using stones." Heated in a fire, they placed false trails to confuse the Skarnik. When the beast came, it charged the wrong direction, right into a deep pit the hunters had prepared. It roared. Tried to climb, but the pit held. The tribe later celebrated the successful hunt. The elder called Callan forward and placed her hand on his head. "Today, the human did not fight with muscle, but with mind," she said. "He is not like us. And that is his strength." That night, under the twin moons, Vera sat beside him near the fire again. "You passed the second test," she said. Callan looked at her. "And the bond?" She touched the mark on his shoulder gently. "It grows." The forest was quiet again after the Skarnik was captured. The tribe returned to normal life. But Callan's life was anything but normal now. He no longer walked alone. Vera was always near. If he fetched water, she followed. If he helped clean tools or stack wood, she stood nearby. They didn't speak much, but their silence had meaning. It wasn't cold. It was calm, still. Not everyone was pleased. Some Dravari whispered behind Callan's back. Some didn't like the idea of a human becoming close to one of their strongest huntresses. A few even saw him as a threat. One day, while helping repair a cracked water drum near the edge of the village, Callan heard raised voices. "He doesn't belong here," someone said. "He cheated the trial. That wasn't a real fight. He's changing her. She was better before." Callan didn't turn to look. He kept working. But deep down, the words left a sting. That night, he sat by the fire, thinking. The village had accepted him, but only on the surface. Beneath that, some still doubted. Maybe they always would. Vera sat beside him and spoke softly. "You heard them?" He nodded. "Yeah. Does it change your mind?" He looked at her, then shook his head. "No, I didn't come here to impress everyone. I just want to live and be useful." She watched the fire for a moment. Then she stood. "Come with me." Callan followed her into the night. They walked past the huts and into the grasslands. The stars above were bright, and the cool wind brushed against their skin. They reached a small hill, and Vera stopped. "I once stood here with my brother," she said. "He left the tribe. Wanted more, wanted change. Where is he now?" Callan asked. "Dead," she replied. "Killed during a hunt." "He wasn't ready." Callan lowered his eyes. "I'm sorry." "He was strong, but proud. He didn't listen to others. You're different. You watch, you think. That's why I bit you." He looked up at her. "Not because you needed help?" She shook her head. "I don't need help, but I wanted someone beside me. Who sees more than fur and fangs? They sat on the grass together, side by side, under the stars. The next morning, a scout came running into the village. "Something's wrong in the eastern hills," he shouted. The elders gathered quickly. A messenger beast, used to carry goods between villages, had returned covered in cuts and without its rider. Something dangerous had appeared again. The tribe feared another Skarnak. But this was different. "It may be a void beast," one elder said. "They live deep underground and rise during the cold season." "Only once every 10 years, another added. "And they're faster, smarter." The council decided to send a group to scout the hills. Vera was chosen. She looked at Callan. "You're coming with me," he blinked. "Seriously? You know how to watch signs? I trust your eyes." And just like that, they were off again, this time with only 2 other hunters. The journey to the hills took 2 days. They passed broken trees, torn grass, and strange black liquid on rocks. The signs were fresh. They set camp near a cave. That night, strange howls echoed from within. The others sharpened weapons, but Callan pulled out a small scanner from his pouch, something from his crashed ship. "Still working on low power. This cave goes deeper than the map shows," he said. "Too deep," Vera nodded. "It waits below, watching." At dawn, the creature appeared. Tall, thin, with skin like dark stone and arms too long for its body. It didn't roar like the Skarnak. It moved silently, like a shadow in the wind. The hunters tried to trap it, but it moved too fast. One was hurt, thrown against a rock. The others shouted for retreat, but Callan shouted back, "Wait. Look, light. Hurts it." The scanner's small light had caused the creature to flinch. Vera grabbed a flare from Callan's belt, lit it, and threw it near the creature. It screamed, a sound like grinding metal, and ran back into the cave. The hunters stared in shock. "We can't fight this with blades," Callan said. "But maybe we can scare it off, or seal it in," Vera nodded. "Let's trap it underground." They used fire, bright stones, and reflective metal pieces from Callan's supplies to line the cave's entrance. As the beast approached again, the light forced it back. Then, with ropes and logs, they collapsed the opening. Dust filled the air. The cave mouth was sealed. The team returned to the village, carrying the injured hunter and the good news. The elder stood before the crowd. The human did not just fight. He led. Some looked shocked. Others clapped their hands together in a sign of respect. That night, Callan sat quietly near the fire again. Vera sat beside him, closer than before. "You protected us," she said. "I just did what I could," he replied. "You think like prey," she added. "But you act like a protector," he chuckled. "Thanks, Dot. I think—" She looked at him seriously. "You may not be Dravari, but your heart, it beats like one." The fire crackled between them. No one said another word for a while. They didn't need to. In a tribe of warriors and hunters, a human had done what no one expected, not by strength, but by spirit. The sky above the Dravari village turned gray. A cold wind blew from the east, bringing clouds and the scent of rain. The weather was changing, and with it, something else shifted in the hearts of the people. Callan now walked through the village without being ignored. Some nodded to him. A few even greeted him. He was no longer just a human. He had earned a place, and he had done it not with weapons, but with thinking, courage, and respect. But Callan knew the peace wouldn't last forever. One morning, while helping Vera clean hunting tools, a sound echoed across the hills, the deep blast of a horn. Not one from their tribe. It was from another Dravari clan, far to the north. The elder's face grew serious. "The Ironfang clan is near," she said. "They do not come for trade?" Vera's eyes narrowed. "They've never liked us." Callan asked, "Why are they?" "Here, they want land," the elder replied, "and maybe more." By evening, a group of Ironfang warriors arrived at the edge of the village. They were taller, their fur darker, and their armor heavier. Their leader, Karvok, had red eyes and carried a curved blade that looked ancient. Karvok stepped forward. "This land is wide. We wish to share it as leaders." The elder stood firm. "We share with friends, not with those who demand." Karvok smiled coldly. "Then perhaps we take instead." Whispers moved through the villagers. Everyone could feel it tension like a storm before lightning. Callan watched quietly. He didn't speak, but he noticed something. Karvak's warriors were restless. They didn't respect peace. They were looking for weakness. That night, the elder called a private meeting. Vera, Gorak, and a few others attended. Callan was also invited. They want a reason to attack, the elder said. We must give them none, Gorak growled, or we strike first. No, Vera replied. That's what they want. Callan raised his voice. What if we use something they don't expect? Everyone turned to him. They don't respect humans, right? He asked. Gorak grunted. No, they see you as weak. Then let me talk to them, not as a warrior. As something they don't understand, the elder thought for a long moment. It's risky, but sometimes the smallest stone breaks the strongest wall. The next morning, Callan approached Karvak's tent with nothing but a simple pouch and a calm face. Karvak laughed when he saw him. The pet of the Beastwoman dares come speak. I come with no threat, Callan said. Only a question, Karvak raised a brow. Ask. Why take what you could learn from? Callan asked. You say we are weak. But the last beast we faced even your warriors feared, Karvak scoffed. Lies. Callan opened his pouch and dropped a small device onto the ground, a broken scanner that still blinked with lights. This helped us trap it. Not with power, with knowledge. Karvak stared at it. And what does this mean? It means your way isn't the only way. Callan said, you fight, we think. But together, maybe we survive longer. Karvak stood towering over him. You speak brave words for prey. Prey doesn't look you in the eye, Callan said, but partners do. There was silence, then Karvak walked past him. I will speak with your elder. The tribe waited anxiously as the two leaders met. For hours, no one knew what would happen. Would there be peace? Or blood? When the talks ended, Karvak left with his warriors. No war, no attack, the elder turned to the people. We offered no fear, and fear did not take us. Cheers followed, drums beat. A feast was prepared not for victory in battle, but for peace kept without blood. That night, Vera found Callan sitting under the same tree where they had first spoken after the trial. You risked much, she said. So did you, Callan replied, letting me speak. I've never let anyone stand beside me this long, Vera admitted. Callan looked at her. Do you regret it? No, she said. Then added softly, I chose you with my bite, but you chose me with your actions. They sat in silence. The stars above them clear and bright. A gentle breeze moved through the leaves. I never planned to stay here forever, Callan said. But now, I don't know. Vera placed her hand on his. You're not here by accident, he smiled. Feels that way sometimes. You were sent here to remind us, she said. That strength comes in many forms. Later, as the village danced and shared stories, Callan stood with Vera in the center, not as a stranger, not as a visitor, but as one of them. Gorak raised a cup. To the human. Who made the Beastwoman bite? The tribe laughed. Vera didn't. She leaned close to Callan and whispered, Next time I'll bite harder. Callan chuckled. Promise? Weeks passed, and Callan had fully settled into the Dravari village. He was no longer called the outsider or the human. He was simply Callan, the one who stood with Vera, the one who helped stop the Skarnak, the one who faced Karvak without fear. The land was quiet now. The Iofan clan had not returned. The forest had no more signs of monsters or war. Life was peaceful. One morning, Callan woke up to find Vera waiting by the tree near his shelter. Her eyes were calm but focused. Walk with me, she said. They left the village behind and entered the woods. The leaves above rustled softly. Small animals moved through the bush. It was the same path they had walked many times, but today something felt different. Where are we going? Callan asked. To the stone circle, Vera replied. Callan had heard of it. A sacred place used for old Dravari rituals, rarely visited, only for moments that truly mattered. As they reached the wide clearing, he saw large stones standing upright in a ring, their surfaces marked with carved symbols. In the center, A circle of flowers and bone charms surrounded a flat stone. Vera stood before him and spoke with a quiet voice. "Today you will decide." Callan blinked. "Decide what?" "If you wish to stay not just in the village, but in my life." "Truly," she said, "the bond I offered must be accepted with your will." He swallowed hard. "What happens if I do?" She stepped closer. "Then you carry my mark, not just on your skin, but in your name, in your place? You will be seen as mine, and I will be seen as yours." Callan looked around. "And if I say no?" "You will still be honored." "But I will walk alone again," she said simply. There was no pressure in her voice. Only truth. Callan thought about everything. About the crash, the first time he stepped into the village, the trial, the bite, the hunt, the peace talks. He thought about how he used to feel lost, alone, uncertain, and how he felt now, stronger, seen, alive. "I came here by accident," he said, "but this all of this feels more real than anything I had before." Vera nodded slowly. "I want to stay," he continued. "Not just as a guest, but with you." She raised her hand, touching the place where she once bit him. "Then kneel." Callan did. Vera picked up a small bone charm from the ground. It was shaped like a claw. She pressed it gently to his shoulder. "In our way, this means trust, loyalty, balance." Then, to Callan's surprise, she knelt in front of him. "You are not just mine," she said. "I am also yours." She took his hand and placed it over her heart. Callan looked into her eyes. "I don't know all your ways, but I'll learn." "You already understand the most important part," she replied. "Respect." The wind picked up. The charms hanging on the stones clicked together softly, like a quiet song. Then they stood side by side and began walking back to the village. When they returned, the elder waited at the gate. She looked at them, then smiled. "The bond is complete?" she asked. Vera nodded once. The elder raised her staff. "Then let it be known. He is one of us, not by birth, but by choice, not by blood, but by bond." Drums were played that evening, but it wasn't just another festival. This time it was for them. The villagers sang songs of strength, of joining, of two paths becoming one. Food was shared, and even Gorak clapped Callan on the back and handed him a carved stone necklace. "Wear this," Gorak said. "It means you survived, and you earned it." Callan smiled. "Thank you." As the fire danced in the night, Vera and Callan sat together, shoulder to shoulder. The same spot where once they had only shared silence. "You really don't regret biting?" "Me?" he teased. She smiled slightly. "No, but if I hadn't, someone else might have. And I couldn't allow that." Callan laughed. "Well, I'm glad you did. That bite changed everything." Vera looked at him and spoke with rare softness. "It wasn't a mistake. I saw something in you, and I was right." For a long moment they said nothing else. Around them, music played and voices rose. But in their quiet space, everything felt still. Later, as most of the tribe slept and the fire burned low, Callan stood and looked up at the stars. He remembered how small he used to feel, lost, forgotten. But now, under the twin moons with Vera beside him, he didn't feel small anymore. He felt found. The Beastwoman had watched him once in silence. Then she had marked him. And now, by his own choice, he had become more than a visitor. He had become her equal. He had become part of her world, and in doing so, he had found where he truly belonged.